Let's get this special hearing moving. My book club starts at 4.
Judge, jury, I ask Marshal Matt Clarke to take the chair.
Matt, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I always do. Very nice, Mr. Clarke. But you weren't always truthful during the Black Mamba affair, were you?
What do you mean? My report contains no omissions or errors.
Mr. Clarke, is it not true that you were advised multiple times to seek additional enforcement agents to help take Bobby the Kid down?
Well, Sheriff Dannon had requested more deputies and even federal soldiers.
And yet, you chose to ignore this fellow law officer's advice.
You see, Sheriff Dannon never feels we have enough.
And you, instead of heeding a fellow law officer, chose a small team that included one law enforcement agent besides yourself, a train driver, 2 deputized singers, and a bouncer from a whorehouse, didn't you?
Yes, but...
Oh, and I forgot one member. Did you also not have a 10-year-old boy as part of your plan?
Now, Smokey would have snuck on board the train anyhow. I was merely taking advantage of his sneaky abilities and as a backup plan in case things went wrong.
So you freely admit here to taking advantage of a young boy.
No, what I meant, he would have been there anyway.
And yet, Mr. Clarke, your job was to protect the railroad, the Black Mamba, and its cargo, was it not?
And its passengers, and all those whose lives were threatened by Bobby.
Ah, yes. But the railroad was severely damaged, and the Black Mamba was destroyed, weren't they?
Yes, sir. But the passengers and the cargo.
But the railroad and the train were destroyed, Mr. Clarke, because of your failure to address the threat correctly.
Well, I felt I had...
You felt? Was the Black Mamba destroyed or not?
Yes, sir.
No further questions, Judge.
Ah, Mr. Clarke.
Excuse me, who are you?
I am Seymour Wang, and this is my brother, Harry Wang. And we are representing Mr. Clarke at this hearing today.
And you have legal standing here?
Yes, we both have law degrees from Princeton Law School, back east.
Mr. Clarke is allowed to have representation today?
Yes, ma'am. Why would he not?
I have been told the outcome of this hearing is already decided. I figured this part would be bypassed.
Anyhow, Mr. Clarke, would you please explain to us all why you elected to take a small group instead of Sheriff Dannon's call for dozens of officers or even federal troops?
I felt we needed to move quickly and move discreetly. Bobby had ways of knowing what was going on with the trains and law enforcement. He had accomplices everywhere. Any delays or moving force would have alerted him. So a small group and a quick strike seemed best.
And were you able to stop Bobby and his gang, Mr. Clarke?
Yes, sir. Despite manhunts, Bobby had always avoided capture and always succeeded in robbing trains because it takes too much time to organize so many people into posses or manhunts. Small and quick was best. And we got him again.
In fact, is it not true that the only 2 times Bobby was ever stopped in his actions was through your stealth? And in fact, by you alone, with your cunning, Marshal Clarke.
Well, with the help of Diesel Dan and the others who worked with me.
No further questions, Your Honor. Judge, I would like to call Stanley Steenhood to the chair.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
As far as you know.
Be seated, sir.
State your name and occupation.
Everybody here already knows who I am. And you do too. Or you better if you want another donation to your re-election.
It's for the public record, sir.
Screw the public. They don't mean a damn thing to me.
It's for the official proceeding records, Mr. Steamhair.
I am Stanley Oliver Steamhair, the owner of Union Baja Railroad, and Baja Banks, and Baja Real Estate. I also own a small carpet cleaning business.
And about half the politicians in the Western Territories.
Mr. Steamhair, you are the owner and designer of the recently destroyed Black Mamba locomotive, one of the biggest locos in history, correct?
It was the biggest. It was beautiful. Perfect. A masterpiece of engineering. I was always proud to show off my Black Mamba in public.
You designed and your company built the Mamba. Is that not true?
Yes, we invested $150,000 into its development and construction. And it was wantonly destroyed by this fool of a railroad marshal, Matt Clarke.
Your Honor, I object.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that our client, Mr. Clarke, did not destroy the Mamba. It is on public record that Bobby the Kid, anyone, and their gang blew up the Mamba while it was up Nelly's Pass in an attempt to murder its passengers and rob it while seeking revenge against Mayor Sumbish, the sheriff of Big Gulch, and Matt Clarke for his failure to rob it the last time.
Objection sustained.
Your re-election, Anne.
Objection overruled. Please continue, Mr. Patine.
Mr. Steamer, can you explain why you, the owner of Union Baja, the designer of the Black Mamba, and the owner of the only banks in these territories, believe Mr. Clarke to be responsible for the destruction of the Black Mamba?
His harebrained scheme to capture Bobby the Kid. He refused to allow calls for additional security, deputies or even military guard to protect my train. His own ego cost me $150,000.
Judge Drury, had Mr. Clarke brought in additional forces and shared his knowledge of Bobby the Kid's intentions, the Black Mamba would not have been destroyed by Bobby the Kid and his gang. Mr. Clarke's actions are solely responsible for the loss of the Mamba up Nelly's Pass.
Mr. Wang, do you wish to ask any questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Wang is up. That's enough of that!
Mr. Steamhair, is it not true that Bobby the Kid had tried to rob the Black Mamba once before?
Yes, I believe it was back in 1888.
And who was it who saved the Black Mamba from robbery or destruction that day?
Mr. Clarke over there, of course, you all know.
Mr. Steamhair, were you aware of Bobby's threats during his trial for this recent attempt?
I believe he threatened to kill the mayor and sheriff of Big Gulch and Matt Clarke.
Did he make any other threats that day, Mr. Steamhair?
Who are you?
I am Harry Wang, co-counsel for Mr. Clarke.
So, you are Harry Wang and your brother is Seymour Wang?
Yes, but I see no relevance.
Your parents must have hated you two.
Your Honor, would you please advise Mr. Steamhair to focus on the matter at hand?
Mr. Wang, perhaps you do not understand the influence Mr. Steamhair has upon my political future. I will be only respectful and downright ingratiating to him at all times, as you should.
I shall repeat my brother's question, Mr. Steamhair. Did Bobby the Kid make any other threats that day?
Yes! He vowed to destroy my Black Mamba.
So it was he, in fact, and not Mr. Clarke, who acquired the dynamite, boarded the train, set the trap, and in fact blew up the Mamba while it was going up Nelly's Pass.
Enough of that! I will clear this room if laughter at sexual puns is not stopped, or at least held to a quick chortle. Please answer the question if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Steamhair.
Only because Mr. Matt Clarke did not allow for proper security to prevent this all from happening.
Did not Mr. Clarke, through his actions, save the lives of over 30 passengers
and goods and materials and cargo worth almost $200,000.
Well, I don't care about any of that. It wasn't mine. Well, not yet, anyway. Matt Clarke allowed my mamba to be cut off and rendered useless.
Last warning, people.
Mr. Steamhair, did you not have insurance for the Black Mamba? In fact, did you not have it insured for almost $250,000?
Now, what's that got to do with anything?
Please answer the question, sir.
Well,
Now, you have sworn to tell the truth.
yes.
Now, I am no big city lawyer, but it sounds to me like you are actually profiting from the destruction of the Black Mamba.
That doesn't matter. Because of Matt Clarke's incompetence, Bobby the Kid blew up the mamba while it was up Nellie's Pass.
Your Honor,
I beg the court's permission to chortle heavily at that last remark.
I also plead on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
Fine. Permission for hearty chortles in the court. Okay, that's enough. Now order in the court. Order in the court.
I'll have a ham on rye with mayo, please.
Marshal Tucker, arrest that man. I sentence him to a night in jail and a $50 fine for daring to use such overused and hackneyed joke in my court.
Hey, let me go.
Now, are there any further questions?
No, Your Honor. I am done.
Now, having heard the thorough explanation from Mr. Clarke and the well-demonstrated legal precedents cited by the Wang brothers in his defense, as federal mediator in this hearing, I find Mr. Clarke guilty of irresponsibly neglecting to protect Mr. Steamhair's locomotive.
Wait, what? Your Honor, this is a miscarriage.
I am sorry, Messrs. Wang and Mr. Clarke, but you do not understand the desperation of my political aspirations and the influence Mr. Steamhair has. As a judge, I have no choice but to ignore all the other evidence and conclude you acted inappropriately and find in Mr. Steamhair's favor.
May I say, Anne, Your Honor, a wise and legally binding decision. Thank you.
In judgment, I require Mr. Clarke to turn over his badge to Marshal Tucker. You are stripped of your title, authority, pension, and licensing deals for any and all future books, TV shows, and movies based on your exploits to pay back Mr. Steamhair. This hearing is adjourned.
What's a movie?
What's a TV?